Good evening folks and welcome to the vlog. Today I'm going to have another look at one of the photographs I took a couple of weeks ago and show you how I produced from this to this. Let's just dive straight into it. So this is the image as it was started, and I can see there's quite a lot of potential in this. So what I did initially was just to do my standard adding of levels and curves and a curve, which just made the image pop just a little bit. And I'm not going to look at the raw fine tuning. We'll do that at the end. So let's go into the external editor, which is Photoshop. I'm using CS6. Right, so what I'm going to do to start with is just to isolate the individual areas of the image. The grass first of all, feather it, and we're going to do fairly large feather on this because we're doing big areas. We go into levels and crush the blacks, crush the whites just a little bit, and drop the exposure down the grass because we're not hugely interested in the grass. So we don't want it too bright. Okay. We'll look at the trees. We'll do the same with the trees. We want to drop the exposure down on the trees quite a bit and maybe bring up the contrast just a touch. So feather, again, big feather, and levels. Crush the whites, crush the blacks, and let's drop the exposure down quite a bit on that. Okay, that looks good. Now each time I do this, I'm getting rid of the mask just by using Command D. Now let's look at the water. And again, a big feather and levels here. Now we've got quite an interesting light coming here, so we want to emphasize that. So I don't want to darken the river too much, but just a little bit. We just want to bring that light up as much as we can. And we do this by bringing down the whites, so it's just clipping a little bit. I'm not bringing the blacks in because I don't want to darken this area here, which is already very dark. So we'll OK that. Now this is still a bit bright. I want to darken those trees up, so I'm just going to take this lot here on the right, feather that, and levels, darken. Okay, that's about it. Now what I suggest you always do is to click on the preview button, so you can have a look at what effect your adjustments have made, and if you like them you can go ahead and click OK. Now I'm going to look at the overall bridge. And I want to be a little bit more accurate on this. I'm not going to go into those dark areas. I'm going to do those separately. But this brickwork we can bring up considerably. So feather, again a big feather, and levels. Do the same again. We're going to crush the whites. Now the bridge is what is the key thing of this, together with this light here. So I want to make that pop a bit. Okay, that'll do for the overall. I'm now going to look at these buttresses. So the buttresses are probably what is most interesting. Maybe 200 feather and bring the whites in quite a long way on that. And move the midtones. What does that look like? Okay, we might revisit that. I lost it. Further levels. Preview off, preview on. Okay, I quite like that. It pops quite nicely. Do the same on this one. I could probably have done these all at the same time, but it's always better. No, that's too small. So we've got to bring the feather down. Feather 150. It's always best to take these areas on their own. Preview off, on. Darken it just a little bit more. Okay. Now, how are we looking overall? Let's come back and see it full size. Now let's look at a crop. And we'll constrain the proportions, maybe original ratio. Yeah, well, I'll stick to that. And as the bridge is what's most interesting, I want to get the bridge up on the top. I like that water, it's nice. I don't want to lose too much at the beginning of the bridge. Let's see, how does that look? Maybe take it a bit bigger. How's that? That's not bad. Not bad. So that's more or less what we're doing. So let's look at the before and after. That was as we brought it in, and that's what it is now. So that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. We'll take that back to actually, no, there is one more thing that I want to do. Let's put a channel mixer adjustment. I'm going to do this by way of a layer, adjustment layer, channel mixer. I want to change the overall look. It's a bit green, so what I'm going to do is just increase the reds a bit and drop the greens just a touch. And overall, channel mixer off, channel mixer on. Okay, it's a very subtle difference, but it's taken out some of the green from this area, which gives it a bit more contrast, makes it stand out a little bit more from the green areas here and behind. Okay, I think we'll go with that. So I'll save that and go back to original image. Here we go, and that's now updated. So if we put the original image without any adjustments in at all, it's that, and we've adjusted it to that. So I think that's quite a reasonable improvement. Not quite how I did it first time round. This was how I did it first time round. I actually think I overdid it there. It's one of the reasons why I went back and did this. I didn't like that edit as much. It was just a bit too much in your face and too unnatural. This is pretty good. Now, if we look at the overall image, I want to look at the recovery. Now, if you don't know, if you use the Command key and take on the black point, you can bring in until you just see the blacks beginning. So the bottom right hand corner there, I'm getting a bit of black. Okay, so that's the blacks, and I can recover the whites. So you can see we've lost a bit of the white down there, so I can recover that. It's showing red, that's it. And we can increase contrast, maybe just give it a touch of contrast more. Definition is okay. Saturation is probably okay. I don't think we need to play around with the saturation at all. If anything, maybe drop it down a bit. Vibrancy we'll leave as is. White balance is fine. Now, there's one thing I didn't look at was these areas here. So let's go back to Photoshop. Maybe we'll take a look at the arches. It does actually look better within Photoshop, interestingly. But let's look at these arches, see if we can bring them up at all. Again, feather will be not quite so big. And I've got to be on the bottom layer, the background layer. Bring the whites down to the clip level, and then we can maybe bring the blacks in just a touch. It's a bit blue within there. We might, let's have a look. Image. Adjustments, channel mixer. I want to take the blue down a bit. All right, that's a bit more in line with the rest of the stonework. It's not quite so blue. And this one, I don't think we need to do anything with that because I don't think there is actually much to see within there. We can have a look. I won't feather that anymore. We've got a 20, it was a 50 feather, I think, to start with. But we can have a look. I don't think there's any detail there to be found. No, there's a little bit. There's a little bit. But I don't want to brighten it too much either. Okay, that's probably more than enough. All right. I still think this end of the bridge could be brought up a little bit. Feather, feathers 250. So I don't want to affect it too much. That's much better. That's much better. I like that. Okay, that's brought that up nicely. Okay, so let's save that. Go back into Aperture. I think I'm happy with that image. And that's it. So I hope you've found this to be of some use. And if you have, please leave a comment. Please like this video, and I'll see you again in the next video tomorrow. Goodbye from me. Bye-bye.